Hi everyone, welcome back to my floss tube. My name is Rachel and this is Lemonade Stitching, and today is my StitchCon 2025 Unpack with me. So if you're new or didn't have a chance to watch my StitchCon video from last year, 2024, I'm basically doing the same thing again because I got pretty good feedback. People seem to enjoy it. But what I'm doing is wrapping up what I brought to StitchCon or Cross Stitch Retreat and what my experience was like into one video for you, and that is what you have stumbled upon today. So I have 3 bags to go through and they are chock full of stuff, and I'm just gonna kind of sprinkle in like my experience, what I did, stuff like that throughout the video as we come across things in my bag. So I hope you all enjoy. Maybe take some notes or something, I don't know, but it's not that serious. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Any questions about my experience or what I brought or what I found useful, any of that, let me know either in the comments, send me a DM on Instagram, send me an email, and I'm happy to chat about my retreat experience. And without that, we're just gonna get on into it. So I went to weekend A of StitchCon 2025. So I just got home a couple of days ago and I had an amazing time. I sat with my girlfriends. There were 7 of us total at our table, and we had snacks and projects and stitchy cases and lights and clamps galore. Our table was a disaster, but I honestly think it makes it that much more fun. I was lucky enough to sit next to Bridget. If you've ever watched Bridget the Museum Stitcher, you know she has her stuff together. So her spot was very clean, very organized. She always knew where everything was, but if you looked anywhere else on the table, the rest of us were just chaotic messes, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. It was a wonderful time. But the first bag we're gonna go through from weekend A is our bag that we got from Keepsakes. So if you're new to StitchCon, Keepsakes is the local needle workshop in Cincinnati, Ohio, and they host StitchCon both weekends. And every year they have given out a bag for a swag item. So this year's was a backpack cooler, which I was really happy about. I have gone to the Indy 500 the last couple of years, and I always wished I had a backpack cooler to bring so I didn't have to carry my hard shell one. Granted, this was like 2 weeks too late, but next time I go, I will be prepared. So we've got a backpack cooler, and they usually give us a couple of swag items at check-in, and I'm not sure exactly where in the bags they are, but we will come across them as we go. But my strategy last year and this year has been to put my like freebie stuff, gifts that I receive, whatever, in my like StitchCon provided bag in order to keep them separate. Because obviously the bag that I bring with me for the retreat is already full of all my own stuff. So it kind of helps me to get this extra bag, and that's where I put all of my new stuff that I acquire throughout the retreat for the most part. I always have an organizational system. It never works out as perfectly as we may hope, but that's okay. So in this bag, I have stuff from the freebie table. Get this open. And I got so much stuff from the freebie table this year. I'm gonna get closer so it's easier for me to show you everything. I went insane at the freebie table. My original plan for StitchCon was to try to not do a lot of shopping. I did a ton of shopping last year, and I've been on like a low buy, but not really this year because I epically failed and I've bought something at least every month. So whatever, doesn't matter. But anyway, I was trying to get stuff off the freebie table instead of buying things at the Annex. Didn't exactly work out, but you'll see what I mean in a minute. So the first thing I grabbed out of this bag is a bag of purple fabric. It does have like a quilt pattern or something in here, but one of the girls got this for me because they know I love to FFO my projects. And they were like, hey, Rachel might use this. So it's just got a couple pretty little purple fabrics in there. So I don't remember who grabbed this, but thank you. Next up in this pile, it looks like I have my Mill Hills. The girls and I were gonna do a little Mill Hill swap. Didn't end up doing that, but I did get a new Mill Hill off of the freebie table. It's a little suitcase and doesn't have any of the beads or the floss or anything, but I think that's okay. I think this will be an easy pattern to switch up and choose my own colors. So I added that Mill Hill to the collection. And then I have the Mill Hills I brought with me to trade and didn't end up doing that. So whatever, no big deal. I have the remnants of a freebie gift from Ew French Knots and what? Something. Oh, Fairy Tales and French Knots. Okay. So they had some sort of pin or something in here. I was kind of taking all of our retreat gifts and putting them in my stitchy case and stuff, so I'm not sure exactly who or exactly what everyone brought, because now I just have all their little baggies laying around. But that's okay, because this also is a project card. So I can put this in a project bag and have like information on it for whatever project it is. So thank you to Fairy Tales and French Knots for your retreat gift. Another thing off the freebie table, I was really excited to see this. This is a little kit from JVW Designs. I already ripped it open, but it's a little like Christmas chart. It has these little like ice skates, and it comes with some opalescent fabric, 2 skeins of DMC, rickrack beads, and finishing fabric. So really excited to work on this at some point. I was like, how can I pass this up? There's so many JBW designs that I want, and I just haven't pulled the trigger on any of them yet. So I was like, this is good to like scratch that itch until I am ready to start some other things. The next thing I pulled out of this cooler bag is a little Padfolio, and I am so happy that I brought this. I did not bring this last year, I don't think, but one thing that'll happen is you buy charts or you pick stuff off the freebie table, and then you don't have a place to put them that they're not going to get bent and ruined and wrinkly and whatever. So I planned ahead this year, and I brought this Padfolio so that I could throw all the paper charts that I acquire throughout the weekend into here to keep them safe and not bent. So would recommend a Padfolio. But I got so many charts, as I said, so many charts. So we're just gonna take those on out of there and go through them kind of quick. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, but there's a ton of stuff in here. So this next section is gonna be pretty much all of my freebie stuff that I got. So first up, I've got a Hands Across the Sea pattern. I do not know how to say this girl's name, but this is a monochromatic sampler from them. And then I got a Tin Toppers ABC little mini sampler from Samplers and Such, which appears to be a shop in Rhode Island, or at least it was when this came out. And I already have plans for what I want to do with this. And then I picked up a Stitcher's Garden from Tiny Modernist. And I think this was actually the Stitch North exclusive this year or something. So somebody put it on the freebie table. Hopefully they finish stitching it. I've got the Nebby Needle by, or no, maybe this is called Oh My Stars by the Nebby Needle. Yes, I think that's correct. And this is a nice sampler. I really am in my sampler era, but I'm not stitching any of them. I'm obsessed and I keep grabbing samplers, but I need to actually stitch them. I picked up the Santa Factory by Heartstrings, and this is part of, part of some series, and this is the October installment. But I am really excited for this Santa. I love the moon and like the patchwork detail on here. So cool. And it does call for a Mill Hill treasure. I'm gonna keep my eyes out, see if I can find it. If any of you happen to have the Mill Hill teddy bear number 12120 and are willing to part with it, please let me know. But not a big deal if nobody has it, because I'm going to keep my eyes out on eBay. Hopefully I can find it. This pattern's from 1997, so we'll see if I can track down that teddy bear. I've got the Wee Santa 2022, and this is like a pink Santa. I've been obsessed with this for a couple years. It's been on my wish list. And I actually think I got this from Cam, part of her D-stash. I was like, please give me that. So I've got the Wee Santa, and then this next chart. Cam got this for me off the freebie table, and I wanted to give her a big fat kiss because I was so happy. And this is Christmas Rose by Blackbird Designs. If you know something about me, I love a blackbird, and I do not have this chart. So she picked this up off the freebie table, was very, very kind, gave it to me, and I am so excited to stitch it. So the Christmas Rose, very excited to have this in stash. I literally almost cried because Thursday Thursday of StitchCon, the first day, I was up at that freebie table at least once an hour. I just kept going up. I could not get into a groove. I could not start stitching. And it was like anytime anyone stood up from the table, I was like, fine, I'll go back. Fine, I'll go back. But I had a great time. But I didn't see any blackbirds. Cam got a blackbird, and I think 1 or 2 other people at the table got a blackbird. And I was like, what is going on? Like, why is the world not blessing me with blackbirds on the freebie table? But it's okay, because I got lots of other good things. And then I picked up Mary Finley from the Scarlet House. Another sampler, big surprise. And whoever had this chart before me wrote their conversion on the back, which is fun because it calls for MPIs. And I don't have MPIs. Ooh, this one I'm really excited about. This is a Leisure Arts leaflet, Victorian Ornaments, leaflet number 901. And I was really excited to find this. I really like this Christmas tree down here. There we go. And the front models are stitched on Aida, but then the back are stitched on perforated paper. So that's really fun. And a lot of these are just very like simple, delicate, not full coverage ornaments. I really like this candle too, now that I'm looking at it. So I think these will be fun. The gingerbread house, really all of them are cute. So I picked that up. And then I actually got another very similar booklet, Victorian Treasures for All. This is from Douglas Designs by Virginia Douglas. And it's got more of these like Victorian style small ornaments. I'm kind of try to zoom in here. I hope it's focusing. I'm gonna cover up my face. But really nice, really excited about that. I picked up Samplers of Friendship and Love by Kathy Livingston. And this, one of the girls might have put this down, funny enough. And we actually went through each other's D-stash Wednesday night when we got to Maddie's house. And when I brought this over to the table, they're like, Rachel, that was literally in my pile. Why didn't you take it yesterday? And I was like, well, it just wasn't speaking to me yesterday. But the main sampler I'm excited about is this one, this like tall, skinny one. I'm very excited for that booklet. There were a ton of charts from Sekis & Co. I'm not quite sure how you say that. But I picked up the Rosebud Needle Roll and Mini Sampler. There were a ton of charts in the same style. So that one's very pretty. I feel like this would be a good one for Cottage Garden threads because it calls for, let's see, it uses 3 colors of floss, but I feel like you could do this all in one and just use a Cottage Garden and get similar like variegation in colors. From the same brand, I picked up Watercolor Christmas Angels, and these all have specialty stitches, I think. So I'm really excited to stitch these. They're so cute. And these could also just like, I could do one angel and finish them separately or whatever. But like I said, tons of charts like this. Someone must have donated their whole entire collection. This one is another I'm really excited about. I'm gonna say that about every chart. This is another Leisure Arts leaflet called All Things Beautiful Sampler. And what drew me to this is that these motifs on here are all satin stitch embroidery, and there's a strawberry. So if you don't know, Strawberry Moon Sale is going on right now, hosted by Marjorie Maid, and everyone's stitching strawberry projects. And I was like, well, I have to take this. I thought maybe I would start it at StitchCon, which I did not do, but I couldn't pass it up because there's a cutie little strawberry. This was another one that I adopted from Cam. This is the Black Cherry Tart by Plum Street Samplers. I was eyeing this last year when she bought it at StitchCon, and she has since finished it, and very, what is that word? Like willingly? Kindly? She was nice enough to pass it along to me. But I literally have a photo in my phone of like Cam holding this last year at StitchCon, and I was like, yep, that is getting added to the list. I also adopted a chart from Bridgen, and this is Margaret Hull, 1872, from Quaint Rose Needle Arts. I have been eyeing this one for several months as well, so I'm excited this one is in stash now. It's a beautiful bird. I don't know what I'm gonna do with her, but I need it. So there she is, Margaret Hull. Couple more little leaflets. I've got Joys of My Garden by Leisure Arts, and it has 8 designs in here. This is the cover. And I'm trying to remember what one I was most excited about. Not sure, but it has a couple like tall skinny ones. And then this is the back. And I did check before I picked up any of these leaflets for half stitches, like it's only like a half triangle and square, because I do not want to stitch those. I am not in the mood. But these ones did not have any partial stitches, so thankfully we should be good to go on that front. The next and final leaflet I have is The Stitcher by Homespun Elegance, designed by Sandra Sullivan. And this is another one that I have plans to start already. Haven't done it yet because I wanted to wait and show everyone what I got and what I worked on there. But I do have plans for her, and she's gonna be very, very pretty. And if you notice, there's like a scissor charm on here and some buttons, and the designer actually charted real like stitch scissors that you can put here, so that it's okay if you don't have the charm, which I really appreciated. And then it's got some little buttons as well, which I think will be easy to find. I might even have buttons already that match. So very, very excited for this. I don't know if if it has the info. It looks like the scissor charm is from Homespun Elegance. I haven't done any research to see if I can still find it, but this leaflet is from 1995. So odds are not good for that. 30 years old, I don't think I'm gonna find the scissor charm, but I will try. The last thing I picked up from the freebie table I am very excited about. My friend Maddie from Kitty Stitch was a little sad she didn't find this on the table, but I promised she could use it once I am done with it. And this is Beaded Cross Stitch Treasures by Gay Bowles, designs from Mill Hill. So it's a Mill Hill book, and it's just got a ton of beautiful little beaded patterns. I don't even know. There's like a cute little goose, and there's flowers and an umbrella, and it's just, there's so many cute things in here. I was flipping through at the table and I was like, this is amazing. I didn't even stop to look through it at the freebie table. I waited till I went to sit down because it was just so stunning. I'm gonna try to show this without showing all the charts, but like, they're just so beautiful. So that is all for the StitchCon bag. So once again, here is the cooler that we got. I just got a couple things from the freebie table, no big deal. The freebie table is so fun because you get to find a lot of like vintage stuff on there, and every once in a while you'll find a little like unicorn that you've been looking for, which is really cool, or charts you didn't even know you were looking for. They always have a ton of magazines and leaflets there, so if that's your kind of stitching, definitely be sure to check out the freebie table at StitchCon because there's tons of stuff there. The next bag we have to go through is my Land's End tote. And this is gonna be where what I brought to StitchCon part of this video comes in, because this is the bag, this is my retreat bag, this is what I brought with me. It's so heavy, so I'm not gonna hold it up. But just to give you the details on this, this is a large Land's End tote. I think they just call it a canvas tote. It's similar to an Ella Bean boat-in tote, but just the Land's End version. I got it in the like spruce green color with the zip top and the long handles. I got this last year for StitchCon as my very first retreat bag, and I'm so happy I did. I influenced all the girls to get one. I influenced Amity and Erin to get one from the Hathaway Stitchers. And I hope I can influence all of you to get one because it makes a fantastic retreat bag. You can hold so much stuff in here. And when it's not being used as my retreat bag, it is my like just regular cross stitch bag. When I'm getting ready to film a video, I'll go around the house and put all my stuff in here. If I'm taking things places, I'll use this bag. It's just wonderful. Everyone should have a canvas tote bag from Land's End, and I specifically like the Land's End one more than the Ella Bean one because it has pockets on the inside. I think that is the game changer. Ella Bean and Land's End, they both make great bags. They're both very sturdy, but this one has pockets and I like that better. So that's my little plug for my retreat bag. I guess I'll show you the outside first, which doesn't entirely make sense because the bag's heavy, but whatever, it's fine. So if you look on the outside, I have my bag stitched with Crafty Girl, Crafty Goose by Elizabeth from Lindy Stitches. I've got a bag charm that I made from a Blackbird chart called Rosemary Pin Keep. And then up here, I've got a ton of new bag charms that I've collected over the last week. And I will take them off and show them to you. Now, if you were in my room at the Nash Stash Start-a-thon back in March, you may have heard Marjorie and I talking about these little bag charms. But these are little Land's End mini bag charms. And she got one for each of us girls with the LO Bean or the Land's End bags to match. So it's like my big purse has a little purse. How cute is that? So that was my first bag charm. And then I collected lots of keychains this week. So this one just says Stitch, and it is from Millennial Fabrics, excuse me. And then I've got a StitchCon 2025 keychain. I don't know who made this one, so I apologize. I've got a Fudget friendship bracelet from Elizabeth from Lindy Stitches. And then Maddie made us these super cute like beaded StitchCon and strawberry keychains. And then I've got a cheese keychain. How cute is this? I do not remember the woman's name who was passing these out, but it's a cross stitcher from Wisconsin. And so her theme for her gifts was cheese. And I was like, how amazing is that? And then I also have a friendship bracelet scissor fob, again from Elizabeth from Lindy Stitches. And mine is green because that's my favorite color, if you couldn't tell. So those are my new bag charms. So those did come home with me. All I had on here to start was my bag charm with the H on it, which is going to be my married last name, and then of course my Crafty Goose. All right, so like I've said 100 times now, I'm just going to start taking stuff out of here, tell you about it, and if there's like tips and tricks associated with each thing, I'm going to share those with you for the next time you go to a retreat. So on the top of the bag, I've got my purse. This is my new Bagoo purse, and I was really excited to bring it. Obviously, the type of purse you bring doesn't matter, but would absolutely recommend you have a smaller purse that fits inside your big stitching bag, so that if you got to lunch or whatever, you don't have to be lugging your big bag around. Most people will leave their stitching bag in the room overnight. It does get locked, so it's safe in there, and nobody is like touching other people's stuff. So definitely have a smaller purse that you can take in and out, or when you go shopping or whatever. And the only thing in here that is related to StitchCon is my name tag. Everything else is just normal purse things. And this lanyard was made by my friend Bridget, museum stitcher, and she made these for all us girls at the table, and I stitched a little stitched name badge to go in here. And then there's a zip pocket on here for us to put like a credit card or something in. And then there's another pocket on the back where I slid my actual StitchCon name tag. And this was a really good, I was really happy Bridget made these, but recommendation, if you are making some type of cross-stitch lanyard or name tag or whatever, definitely have a way to keep your actual retreat name tag with your cute one that you want to wear. I don't know how it works at other retreats, but at StitchCon we have these cards that we can use in the hold room for our shopping and stuff like that. So you need this card in order to know what your raffle number is or to pick up your items or what have you. So having this mesh pocket on the back made a really big difference in being able to keep this somewhere, but being able to wear my cute name tag instead of just like the basic one. Okay, we got a project roll. This is not a necessity to bring with you, but I drive to StitchCon, so I can bring some bigger items. I can fit more things. So I really like to bring my project rolls so that I can brag about all my projects and show them off to my friends. Also, if I had any finishes, I could have put them in here. Spoiler, I didn't really, because I barely stitched. But it also helped me travel with my finishes that I was putting on the brag table that weren't FFO'd. And I got to have a little finish parade when I was sitting in line with the women in front of me when we were waiting to go into the stitching room. So again, not a necessity to bring at all, but I was really glad that I did bring it. And I will say though, even if you can't bring your whole finishing roll or whatever, if there's projects that your favorite floss tubers have stitched, or your friends haven't had a chance to see or you're really proud of, but you don't necessarily want to put them on the brag table, try to bring those with you somehow, however works for your like packing and travel situation, because part of the fun of going to a cross stitch retreat is just being able to see other people's projects and learn from them and their techniques or their colors or what have you. I know I talked to several people and they like were showing me projects that they had done or had been gifted to them, and it was really cool to be able to see their projects that they weren't necessarily actively working on, but they still brought with them, if that makes sense. So if there's something you're really proud of and you don't necessarily want to put on the brag table, try to bring it if you can fit it in your bag. Or like people will come up to my girlfriends or I and be like, I also stitched this piece and I want to show it to you. And it's really fun to be able to see, like, we all stitch the same thing, but it all comes out so different depending on our fabric and our floss choice. So I hope that makes sense as a recommendation for retreats. Next up, this little bag is from Marjorie, and this I have my knitting stuff. Didn't touch it one single time. I had FOMO last year because all the girls were knitting. So I brought this year, didn't use it at all. So do not need, but if you are a knitter or have another craft that you like to do, I would still recommend you bring it just so you have an option if you're tired of stitching, or it's like you're in your room and you want to do something but you're too tired to cross stitch or whatever. It's nice to have a little something as an option to work on when you're not cross stitching. My stitchy case, this is a must have. I did not have any sort of dedicated stitching box until last summer at Midsummer Stitch, and I don't know how I functioned without one, because being able to open this up and just have it on the table with all of my necessities is a game changer. So would recommend, it doesn't need to be like DIY'd, it doesn't need to be fancy, but just have some sort of stitching case where you can keep your scissors and your needle minders, your needles, your tape measure, whatever, so that it's all kind of together. And if you saw my vlog that I posted before StitchCon, you may be like, Rachel, that's not what your stitchy case looked like. Nope, it's not. We're already changing it again. I ripped out the middle here. I have a new orc catcher from Bridget because she's so kind and made me a matching one. Sally from Sally Stitches Anne was handing out these cute little needle books. So now I have a little needle book instead of 3 packages of needles. I was also shoving everybody's like stickers and business cards and stuff in this top pocket here. So I need to go through those at some point and kind of clean this out. I got new scissors, which is really fun. These are from Carrie of Tiger Lily Design. So I now have pink stork scissors. And yeah, this is kind of a hot mess, but I don't care. It was fun, and it still behaved as I needed it to and helped me kind of keep everything together. Okay, I've accessed some of the pockets. So first up, I have the remnants of my goodie bag from Elizabeth, Frizzy Lizzy Stitches. Her table gift this year were these little like cross stitch essential goodie bags with needles, couple skeins of DMC, liquid IV, lotion, lip gloss, and stickers. Loved it. It was so cute. So if you are interested in doing a table gift, this is a good kind of recommendation of something you can do that doesn't necessarily take a lot of time or effort or like DIY brain power, you know? And she just put 310 and either Blanc or B5200 in here, and everyone uses those, so you can't go wrong just adding a black and white floss. Next up, I've got my socks. These are knit socks, that's why they're in this bag, and I brought these so that I could mend them with the girls' help. Didn't do that either. Like I said, did no knitting, but I did bring them. The effort was there. What else do we have in here? Ooh, I've got some more little retreat gifts and a hair tie. Always have some extra hair ties because for the most part, it was cold in the stitching room this year. But you never know when you're gonna get so into it and you just need to throw your hair up and you're like, I've got to focus on this project. So this cutie little pin cushion is a little acorn, and it is from Miss Lisa from Lady Huzzah. We love Lady Huzzah at my table. She's one of our favorite people to see. And she made these out of real acorn caps, which is super cute. So I need to find a safe place for this. Don't know where it's gonna go yet. And then I've got another little goodie bag that was passed out, and this had more notions. It had tiny little scissors, a spoolie, some Wonder clips, and some of these like fabric holder things that can go over the side of your Q-snap or your hoop. I don't know what their technical name is, but I was really excited. I had none of these and I've been meaning to buy some, and now I've come home from StitchCon with like 12. So that was great. An unexpected surprise that I am not mad about in the slightest. All right, my third pocket. Oh my gosh, you guys are not ready for this. So this is a little magnetic needle case that somebody was handing out. They had a bunch of different like vintage patterns. And throughout the weekend, everyone was handing out little cute needle minders and little figurines and whatever. And I'm missing some of mine because they are in projects. But this is my little zoo on the go. So I've got a cat, a frog, and a little pink duck. And I did have other needle minders that were in here, including a wedge of cheese. But they're, like I said, they're on projects. I need to reorganize. But this is what I'm gonna put all my little cutie little needle minders in. And they're so cute. I love it. I just thought this was adorable. And throughout the weekend, I actually had all of these on my phone stand, which was one of our other swag items that we got. And this was really nice. This is a heavy duty StitchCon branded phone stand, and it's metal. This will like give you a concussion if you drop it on your head. I don't know why it'd be up here, but it would. But it is metal, so I was like magneting all my little guys onto here, and I was like, look at my little zoo. And they brought me lots of joy when I was stitching, especially because I messed up almost every single project that I worked on. So, okay, what else? Lotion, Retreat Necessity, have lotion. I've got more little freebie gifts from the P&W Crafter and Crafting Without Kids. All right, and now we're getting into projects. Now we're getting into the fun stuff, the stuff that I worked on. So this first project bag was home to all of my strawberry projects for Strawberry Moon Cell. That is another fun tip. When you're going to retreats, if you have smaller projects or projects with less floss that you can kind of consolidate and have multiple projects in one bag, that saves a lot of space and you can bring more stuff. So that is what I did. I put all 3 of my strawberry projects in this bag. And so I brought one strawberry whip with me, and I brought Modern Pop Art Strawberry, and this is the only thing that I brought that I did not work on at all. But I brought this one because it's on Ada and it's really easy stitching. Didn't pull it out one single time. But then I brought 2 new starts. I brought June by Crocette Gogo, which I started on Saturday. And then I also started Strawberry Naps by Lindy Stitches, and I started this on Friday. Get that for you. And just little starts. I would get like 300-400 stitches in on a project and then be like, okay, I'm done. What next? I don't know where my attention span was, but I just could not focus on one thing for more than like a few hours. But that's pretty typical of retreats. You know, you're doing more talking, more hanging out, more socializing than you are actually stitching for the most part. And this is my thread situation, which probably contributed to my chaos. For some reason, I didn't think it was necessary to put these on binder rings. So I just had them kind of strewn around the table, and would not recommend that. Not even a little. But because all these projects are so small, they fit so nicely in my little project bag. Next project bag are 2 projects that I adopted from Megan, the Seattle Stitcher. She sent us 2 big care packages of patterns and stuff that she was destashing, and my friends and I kind of went through, took what we wanted, and then put the rest on the freebie table. So I have 2 patterns that I adopted from her. First is the bird sampler, and it is from this Traditional Samplers book by Brenda Keyes. And I don't know the fabric she's stitching this on. I haven't gone back through her videos to check yet. But this is where it's at. And I'm excited to keep working on it. It's stitched with all DMCs on some sort of purple fabric. And I think it's 2/2 on 36 count. But again, I have not confirmed. I'm just gonna go like watch her whip parade or something to find out. The second project I adopted from her is also in this bag, and this is Love Gains by Modern Folk Embroidery. I did work on this at StitchCon and had to rip out like 100 stitches, but we're fixing it, it's fine. And this is stitched with Dinky Dyes in the color Mystic Pools, and I'm not sure on the fabric. Again, I put the tag somewhere, but I will have that info in my whip parade and my next floss tube update. Next up, this is my little Mill Hill kit that I brought with me, and this was my StitchCon finish. So I finished this the first day, and it is the Mill Hill Berry Jam Jar, and it is so cute. There's a little beaded bow. Hope the lighting's okay. Oh, I'm obsessed. So would recommend bringing something to finish at the retreat because you get to go up and ring the bell, which is really fun, and you just, it's like you always, when you look at this, you'll remember, I finished that at StitchCon. I would say it's less fun to save one single stitch to finish. I had most of the beads to finish, but you do you. If you just want to save one stitch and say it's finished, then there's nothing stopping you. But would recommend having something to finish when you're there because it just makes it fun and everyone cheers and you get a cute picture and whatever. Oh my gosh, this is a little tin that I got again from Carrie at Tiger Lily. And in this one is just like assorted scissors and this little frog that we got. This isn't all from Carrie. This is just stuff that I put in here throughout the weekend. This tin is actually what I'm going to use for that tin toppers chart that I showed earlier. I already lost it in this mess behind me, but eventually there'll be a cute little sampler on here. And I think this is going to be my work stitching case. I'm just going to put a couple needles, tiny scissors, and that's it. I'm trying to think what else I need to stitch at work. It's mainly just scissors and needle. So it's like a little tiny stitching case for on the go. And it's hot pink, which is so fun. The next thing I have in here is CamTheStitcher's Misspelled Sampler. Cam, Elizabeth, and Bridget and I are doing a little whip exchange program where we're working on each other's projects that we have not been motivated to work on. And so I am on Cam's project now. So since we were all in person together, we swapped in person. We actually got a cute little photo with our progress so far. And so I brought this home with me and I'll be sending it to her in a couple of weeks when I finish my 2,000 stitches. And then soon after that, I will get my project back from Elizabeth. I've got an iPad in here. Would 1000% recommend some sort of iPad or tablet if you can. Stitching off of an iPad or a tablet really has changed the game. I love it. I don't like stitching off paper patterns anymore. I get lost. I just love being able to prop it up and mark it off. I love seeing the statistics from markup of like how many stitches I've stitched and whatnot. Now you can also prop up your paper charts and highlight them and like no big deal, but I love stitching off my iPad. It's a game changer. And to go along with that, recommendation for what you bring, a 10-foot charger. Not every retreat will have power available at the tables, so that's something you have to check before you go. But if you do have power available, bring a 10-foot charger so that you have plenty of room to plug it in under the table and reach it all the way around and use it for your phone, your iPad, or whatever, because you're in there for 12 hours or more and you're gonna need power. And if you don't have power or don't want to use a long cord, I would recommend bringing a battery pack. I did bring one, it's in my purse. I didn't end up needing it because I had this charger, but would 1000% recommend a 10-foot charger. All right, just a few things left in here. I've got a needle book, just a few things left in here. I've got a thread bed from Marjorie at Marjorie Made. This was her table gift that she made for us. Super cute, and it's got a little pocket, and she had some sewing notions and accessories in here. They have since gotten mixed in with everything else, but she made this out of some friendship bracelet fabric that she found at Joann's, and it's just so cute. So we all got one with varying colors, and I'm excited to use this because I have some projects that I have been needing to use a thread bed so I can lay all the colors out and do less changing of colors on the needle. I've got some stray scissors. Oh well. I've got some floss drops and a little sticker, and I think this is the bag that the duck came in, if I remember correctly, from Stitching Goddess Designs. So lots of little accessories. This is from the Sunshine Stitchers, and they have a little sunset photo on here. I've got a tripod in here because I was gonna film a vlog, didn't, sorry. You get so caught up like being in the moment and laughing and giggling, and I truly wasn't on my phone, hardly at all. So I have a tripod in case I had wanted to film, but didn't end up needing it. Okay, second to last project bag. This is what I brought Anna Funk, which was my third planned start for the weekend. And if you had watched my vlog for getting ready for StitchCon, I was planning to just kind of wing Anna Funk. I have all these fun colors and I was just gonna start putting them in wherever. I didn't have a strategy, but I was doing a color conversion. That was overwhelming. Was not enjoying the thought of that. So what I ended up doing was I was thinking about it, and the story behind it is she was a young girl and she was going to be moving with her family to the United States from somewhere, I guess it doesn't say. And she was going to miss her friends and she couldn't bring a lot and yada yada. And so she asked each of her friends to design a sampler or a motif that she was gonna stitch into a friendship sampler, which is what we have now. And that's kind of why this is so funky and misshapen, is because each of her friends designed one of these motifs. So in that same spirit, I was like, you know what? I'm here with all my friends. I'm gonna have them choose the colors for me. So I had each of my friends go through and pick a motif other than the alphabet. And then I also had them decide what color I should stitch. And I didn't have any scrap paper. So I had this piece of mat board. So they all passed this around and wrote like what colors they wanted me to use for their motif and just described it best they could. And that was how I got started. And I really need to go through and like put this in a better format so it's easier to stitch, which is why I had to put it away, because I just wasn't ready to do all that brain power. But this is my start so far. I did a top center start and I got the first two motifs done. And I think it's so funny looking at this because I know who picked the colors for each and I think it's so obvious. But I want to know like if other people can get. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry I can't hold anything today. It's because I can't see what you can see. There we go. I got these two motifs done. Let me know if you have any guesses of who picked the colors for each one. I think it's so funny. I think it's so obvious. And while I was stitching this, I was like, yep, this is so-and-so's for sure. So obvious. But let me know if you guys have any guesses of who picked each one. And then I did have another unplanned start that got shoved in this bag. And that is the exclusive for StitchCon this year, which is Kindred Friends by Heart and Hand. So I ended up buying this in the Annex. I was like, fine, can't pass it up. And I also bought the fabric for it, which is 32 count cookie dough by Needle Bling. And this was the only fabric they had available in an 1/8. And so I was like, okay, yeah, for sure, I want an 1/8. And it was so cute. I just did the little bust. This is a bottom center start because I didn't want to buy the thread pack and I also didn't really want to do a full conversion, but I knew I had black and white. So I just started with the bust and then also picked out a red. And I was singing Wheels on the Bus to myself the whole time I was stitching this. I was losing it. It was Sunday morning. I was delirious. I am a firm like 9:30 bedtime girly, and we were up past midnight every night. We had a big sleepover at Maddie's house. I was exhausted. I was so tired. I'm still tired from StitchCon and it's been 4 days. But I wouldn't change it for the world. It was so fun. So that is Kindred Friends. Can't wait to keep working on that. And then I think that's everything I brought with me. And now I have more stuff that and hoops. I brought 2 hoops, which was nice because I didn't have to like change it every time. And now I just have more stuff that I acquired while I was there, I think. Oh, just kidding. There's a couple more things in the front pocket of the bag. I've just got like deodorant, chapstick, a pen, a phone stand, gum, that kind of stuff. Because you're gonna need that. Like I said, you're in that room for 12 hours. You're gonna wanna freshen up. You're gonna wanna reapply. You're gonna wanna do all the things. So this last project bag is from Cam, her table gifts. She got everyone these beautiful project bags and it's from Sheba Designs and I am obsessed. It's blue and it's stunning, and it's actually my first vinyl front project bag that I've ever had. So that is really fun, and thank you, Cam. She gave it to me Wednesday night, and I was like, I was so excited. So excited. And in this bag is where I put all of the fabric and floss that I acquired over the weekend. So first up, I got some 14 count waist canvas from the freebie table because I want to stitch more things on my bag. So I got more waist canvas. And then I adopted a bunch of fabric from Cam, which I did know ahead of time. So I adopted some 40 count flax, and I think this is a full fat quarter. Yeah, I think this is mostly a full fat quarter because she didn't like it. I adopted whatever this is. It looks beige in this light, but it looked green in the conference room, so unsure what color this is, but it's just a scrap. And I do have plans for this that we'll get to in a minute. And then I've got like a gray. This is 36 count smoke blue. And this is just a linen of some sort. I think it's a Zweigart. I don't know. It's like a set color though, it's not hand dyed. And then I have a pink that has some stitching that I'll need to frog. But this was a bigger piece and I ended up splitting it with Elizabeth because I don't have enough projects that I stitch on pink to need a whole fat quarter. And this looks pretty wide. It's gotta be a 28 or 32 count. The holes are huge on here. And then I also have a green, and this is a 36 count agave. And this is another like not hand dyed, just one color. And so I've got that going into stash. And then the last piece I adopted from her, I actually started a project on, and this is a project Cam designed for us called Takin Inventory. I don't think any of the girls have posted StitchCon recaps, so I don't have a good mock-up of it, but when Cam posts her next video, definitely check it out because she is super far along in this. But this is just a piece of blue fabric that I started stitching this little small design by Cam on. More details to come. And the floss that I used for that was also gifted to us at StitchCon, which is coming up in just a second. And then I have another piece of fabric that this is a whip that I adopted from Cam, and this is Apothecary Shop by Witchy Stitcher. I don't know what fabric this is, but it's very fun, and I'm excited to finish this and have some Halloween decor. I really don't stitch Halloween, but this was like neutral enough that I was like, yes, that's a good like gateway entry place into Halloween stitching. So I adopted that from her. And then the last piece of fabric is called Rugged Rochester by Those Missing Stitches. This was her retreat gift. She was going around and handing out fabric to everybody, and I picked this one because I'm from Rochester, so I was like, how can I not? And I chose the 36 count option, and I'm excited to add this to stash. As far as floss, I got gifted 2 sets of floss. So first up were these Silks for You from Amity and Erin, the Hathaway Stitchers. And this is what we're using to stitch the Takin Inventory Small from Cam. And I never used Silks for You before, but they are so amazing. These colors are so intense, so beautiful. They are PR123 is the blue, and this is Amity's color. And then PR166 is the hot pink, and this is Erin's color. And it's also what they use to like make their little logo and stuff. And so they handed this out to everybody, which is super kind. And last year, the girls and I, we stitched the StitchCon freebie from the passport with floss that we got at StitchCon. So we were like, we had to keep the tradition going, which is why we had Cam design a little small for us to use these for. The other bit of floss I got was a gift from my girlfriends. Cam, Bridget, Elizabeth, and Maddie all went to Stitch North a couple of weeks ago, and Marjorie and I asked them to make us a little Roxy Floss Co. Floss pack, like a personalized set of floss. We were like, please get me some floss, because I never used Roxy Floss. And I was just gonna like pay them to do it, but they did it as a gift to give to us at StitchCon. And they picked out, let me take these off. I'm like fidgeting with them, trying to get them lined up, but they picked out a beautiful little green palette with a dusty blue for me. And then a really pretty like pink and orange palette for Embroidery. But they were like, you both are so easy to shop for because you have such a defined style and brand. And I was like, you're welcome. But these flosses, I am 99% sure are what I'm gonna use to stitch this cute lady on my beige mystery colored fabric. Yeah, it's looking very beige, but it looked green when we were there. But this is the plan. I hope it comes across because this woman, she's very like monochromatic, but she is stitched with 3 browns and an off-white. And so I'm just gonna use 3 greens and this like off pale green, white, silver situation. And I think she's gonna be so so cute. I'm losing it. Take the blue out of here so you can get a better idea. And I think that's gonna be really fun. So I'm excited to start her at some point. Eek! I cannot figure out how to hold things. Here's the inside of this project bag so you can get a good look at it. Okay, the last bag that I have is just like a grocery bag. And this is what I brought my snacks and drinks in. Because again, you're there all day. So I brought ginger ales, Celsius, pretzels, and Oreos as my contribution to the snacks and stuff. Because I knew I was probably gonna get a tummy ache. So I wanted ginger ale. I was gonna fall asleep, so I needed Celsius, and then I was gonna be hungry and want a sweet. So I brought the pretzels and Oreos. So have a snack plan. And then also some other stuff just kind of ended up in here that I'm gonna show you. I spy another project bag. I forgot I did bring one more project, and this is Baldaquin Birdies by Modern Folk Embroidery. Again, I stitched a whopping 70 stitches in here. But you know, progress is progress. So I brought this. I also wanted to just show this off. I really didn't think I was gonna get much stitching done, and I had gotten myself like caught up before going so that I wouldn't be behind. But I just wanted to show it off in person. And that was just in its own bag. What else? What else? And then I have my Annex purchases, an extra bag, and then what might be the best, oh my gosh, the other thing I have in here might be the best retreat gift we got this year. And they are little tongs so you can have your snacks when you're stitching and not get your fingers dirty. These were from, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her real name. She's a disorderly stitcher. I want to say her name is Christine, but for some reason that feels wrong. But we love her too. She's another one of our ladies we love to see. And she got tongs for everybody. And literally the morning she gave these to us, I was like, oh, I wish I had those little chopsticks that I could like eat without getting dust on my fingers. And then not an hour or two later, she came around with these, and we were just eating our little snacks all day with our little tongs. It was so fun. I need to wash these actually. I'm remembering now that they've been in this bag for 4 days and they're looking nasty. But to end the haul, we will end on my Annex purchases. So the Annex is a bunch of trunk shows and keepsakes stuff that you can shop for at the convention center. You can also go to the shop and shop all their normal inventory, but the Annex is specifically for trunk shows and whatever, for people who want to shop at the convention center or stuff that isn't normally in the shop. And I wasn't going to do a lot of shopping there. That didn't work. As soon as we went in for the sneak preview, I knew I was going to be spending some money. I also went in with Marjorie, who was like freaking out over every single project. And I was like, yep, this is not good. I am going to be influenced. So as far as purchases go, you saw Kindred Friends already. I got another chart. This is more Anytown, Tiny Town. If you've been around for a while, one of my projects that I have cooking in the back of my mind is to turn the tiny towns into into like my hometown, you know, like change them up, switch it up so that it represents my hometown instead of like the charted tiny towns. But I want to do that based off of the tiny towns because they're, you know, a good place to start. So I already had Anytown, and so now I just needed more Anytown, and maybe someday I'll start designing that and putting it together. I also got some cottage garden threads. These were from like this salty stitcher, the salt, I don't know, salt something. Very like seaside, flamingos, whatever. And this is a thread pack for a huge flamingo. So we got hot pink, black, eucalyptus, and then a light pink. And I didn't have any interest in the chart, but I love cottage garden threads. So I was like, fine, I'll buy the thread pack. So I don't have plans for all these, but I do have plans for the hot pink. And this is what I want to use to stitch that little tin topper. Right? Hot pink with a little alphabet. I think that'll be so cute. So that's my plan. Again, I lost the chart already, but you saw it earlier. It's just a little alphabet, and it's gonna be hot pink on this box, and it's gonna be amazing. Okay, so after, oh, and then I also bought a gift for one of my coworkers, but that doesn't count because it's not for me. So after I made my very responsible purchases, less than $100 worth, I went back and I was taking a walk, and I had talked to Cam and Bridget, and they were talking about getting a silk pack for a chart that they got either at market or last year. I don't remember exactly. And so I was looking at the My Sister's sampler trunk show, and I was like, these are incredible. I want them all. Didn't buy them all. But I was like looking at this one called Elizabeth Scora, which is like a beautiful green sampler. And I was like, that's stunning. And they had a silk pack for it. And I was like, this is stunning. It's green. I wish this is a chart they were stitching, but it's probably not. They're probably doing a pink one. With my luck, they're doing something else. So I didn't buy it. But I did convince myself to buy some linen. So this is Be Stitch Me One More Reproduction. And I bought a fat quarter and 40 count. Because it's beautiful and I couldn't pass it up. So I went back to the table, showed them what I got. Later in the day, they all came back with their haul, and Bridget was going through hers, and she held up the silk pack for Elizabeth Scora. And I said, ma'am? She was like, yeah, this is the chart that me and Cam are stitching. And I said, okay, so I'm gonna need that, but it's a Gloriana silk pack. So it was like $65 or something, and I would need to buy the chart. So I texted my fiance and I was like, oh, I just wish I could kit up one more chart. I just, you know, I already spent so much money, so I probably shouldn't, but I wish. And he's like, do it. You're at StitchCon, who cares? And I said, say less. So I did immediately. I did a little happy dance. If you saw me Saturday night freaking out, doing a little happy dance, this is why. I went back and I got Elizabeth Scora, this gorgeous sampler, and the photo on the front does not do it justice. Seeing the model is really what sold me. And then I also got the Gloriana silk pack, and I'm so excited. I don't know if the colors are coming across on camera, but they are green and stunning. And I don't think Bridget and Cam had plans to start this anytime soon. I'm gonna try to peer pressure them to start it with me for my birthday, which is August 5th, if anyone wants to start along with me. No silks required, but my original plan was to stitch Turkish Delight by Rosewood Manor for my birthday, and I was gonna stitch it with Maddie's Conversion, but I decided to replace it with this because that Diva Pictures Plus is hard to find, and I wanted an excuse to buy this. So I am stitching this for my birthday. The other part that sold me was I had already bought this linen, and the sampler will fit on this fat quarter 40 count. So I was like, that's so perfect. I held Bridget's silks up and I said, yep, that's the perfect color combo. There's no going back. So this is what I'm starting for my birthday. A little impromptu kitting up at StitchCon that I'm very excited about. But we've reached the end. That is all my stuff. That is everything I came home with. And it's a lot. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Hope you saw some good stuff. I'm trying to think of my final kind of count of what I brought. I think I brought 3 whips, 3 new starts, and then my stuff for the freebie table. And I replaced pretty much everything. It started way more than I thought I would, and had a great time doing it. So if you are watching this, trying to get ready for retreat, seeing what you should bring, seeing what you prepare, I think I would wrap it up by saying, bring a couple of projects that you like working on. Bring a couple of projects you want to start, so that like whatever you start, that'll always be a project that you like think of your retreat when you work on it. Bring something to finish so you can ring the bell, and then bring a stitchy box or case or something to just kind of hold your notions, like scissors, tape measure, needles, that kind of stuff. And then other than that, just go in ready to meet people and look at people's projects and whatever. A lot of people like to do retreat gifts, so you're gonna get a lot more notions and floss drops and little scissors and whatever. So I would say don't stress too hard about having a ton of stuff. Also, don't feel pressure to do retreat gifts. Totally optional, not mandatory. I did not do any gifts or table gifts or anything at my first retreat. The only reason I did table gifts this year is because I was staying with my friends, and so I had all year to prepare and like do personalized things for them. But there's no pressure to bring anything or pass anything out. But it's so fun. Just go in ready to have the best weekend ever. I lost track of what I was saying, so hopefully that all made sense. Oh, I know. You're gonna get a lot of stuff, like little scissors and whatever, so don't freak out about having a ton of extras. You're also gonna be in a room full of stitchers, so if you gotta borrow some scissors, you gotta borrow a needle. I know I certainly wouldn't mind sharing. I'm sure someone at your table won't mind sharing if you throw your needle across the room or whatever. It happens to all of us. And we're all just there to do our craft together and do our stuff that we love doing. And to talk about it. That's the thing. I think that's one of the best parts about going to the retreat is you're with 300 people who like to talk about your hobby. And Graham is a saint. My fiance is a saint, and he lets me talk about it all the time. He knows a lot about it. But nothing beats being able to talk to actual stitchers about stitching. So that, just be ready to talk all about it. But other than that, if you have questions about what to bring, what I brought, what I got, anything related to retreat experience, please let me know either on Instagram, in the comments, send me an email. Happy to chat about it. And other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful time stitching. I plan to have a mid-year whip parade up next Thursday. I don't know the date, but a week from whenever I'm posting this. And then I'll have my June wrap up the week after that. And that'll be everything I stitched on this month, excluding like what I stitched on, like my StitchCon stuff, my StitchCon haul, all of that is just specific to this video. So there won't be repeats. If I work on these projects between now and then, I'll show them again, but I'm not gonna show my haul, if that makes sense. So anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you for sticking with me through this marathon of a video, and I will see you all soon. So who's gonna clean all this up? What a disaster. Hello, are either of you gonna help?